120, I think, members of staff.
Okay, I can only see 4 here, 3. I can only see 3 or 4 here.
Oh, because the rest of them at the top there.
Okay.
Yeah. So the majority over there, we're just making sure that
right.
all the parents are aware of the strike.
Right.
While they're walking by. But the majority are at the top there.
Okay.
Right.
So you're a teacher, are you, or teaching assistant?
I'm a teacher. Yeah.
A teacher. So how many days is the strike likely to go on for? Right, okay.
It's just Tuesday for now.
Just Tuesday?
It's Tuesday, yeah.
And what do you hope to gain from this strike?
Well, if I can hear all these lessons. Basically, this explains the whole thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I guess we would have had to.
So why are you actually striking? You know, considering that the management.
You're not recording this, are you, by any chance?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to go on record as saying anything because the letter says.
Okay, you can repeat what's.
Yeah. Well, basically, you like. Yeah. I mean, the letter talks about we need clear assurance that until the investigation into the grievance is completed, the staff and review we've put on hold, and obviously this has not happened. It's important that the head teacher should not continue to interfere with the running of the investigation, and obviously as any 2 members of the calling on government to follow the advice of the local authority and request of the staff in the school to suspend the head teacher while the investigation takes place.
Okay, so what are the children doing now?
Children are, because obviously the majority of teaching staff are on strike,
right.
I think the head teachers organised some activities, whole year group activities.
Right.
So, but obviously, because I'm not down, I'm not sure what activities they are.
Okay.
Okay.
So you'll be striking tomorrow as well?
Not tomorrow, no.
No,
just initially today.
Okay.
Until obviously some of these points have been raised, terms of reference have been agreed on.
Okay.
All right.
So what was you had a strike last time, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And what was the benefit of that? Did it improve matters? Did it help anything?
Well, this is a case in point where we're trying to carry on what we basically what that strike was basically the same sort of thing that we're talking about now, with the restructure, the number of TAs in school,
right.
and this is part of that action as well, because nothing's been resolved since those 2 weeks.
Okay.
And obviously we're looking at the long-term benefits for the children at the school, really.
Okay.
Because obviously, over the last few weeks, what's been going on, it hasn't been good for the children. So we want to make sure that from the beginning of the year, things are in place where we don't disturb or interrupt the pupils' education right now.
Right. So is this necessary? Because you're actually, as you said, you're disrupting the children's education at the moment.
Well, we don't want any further disruptions in pupils' education.
Okay.
Because obviously, if you look at the school right now, we want to make sure that we are ready to start next year on a positive note.
Okay.
Because we've got 7 members of staff leaving the school, and as of yet, we haven't found any replacements for those members of staff. So we want to make sure that.
So which are they full-time teachers who are leaving,
or full-time teachers, teaching assistants? Yeah.
So how many full-time teachers are leaving?
I haven't got the numbers there. We're talking roughly 4 full-time teaching staff.
And this is all because of this grievance and everything?
Yeah, and obviously the atmosphere within the school hasn't helped, so they've actually decided to move on to other things.
So what about how many teaching assistants are leaving?
Right now, the husband has 3. 3 are leaving yet. Okay. And the rest have been made, obviously going through an appeals process because they've been made either redundant or they haven't got their jobs because of the reduction in teaching assistants within the school.
So where are the other teaching assistants going, to other schools?
Yeah, they've found jobs in other schools, or they're appealing against the decision to reduce the number of TAs.
Want to stay. So do you have the support of the parents?
Yeah, I found that they have a lot of support from the parents personally on the playground when I'm out there during after school time. So you have a lot of support from parents, and obviously it's always nice to explain why we're striking. We're not striking for sake of it. We're striking to make sure that things improve within the school.
Yeah.
All right.
So do you think a lot of it looks like the parents have still brought their children to school, like they want?
Yeah, because the school is actually open. The school is not closed.
Right.
Yeah. So strike actually taking place, but the school is actually open.
What about the petition? There was a petition, wasn't there, that the parents say signed against the.
I'm not aware of the petition, sorry.
I think the first strike that you had. After that, teachers and the parents they signed a petition. I heard it was 500, saying that they didn't want any further strike action.
I haven't heard about this. Sorry. No.
So what sort of comments have you got from parents?
Mainly positive, really, I think.
Okay. Any negative?
Not as far as I'm aware, no.
Must have had some sort
I
of
personally haven't, so I can't really comment on that, no.
Okay. So who is actually doing the investigation at the moment?
That's why we that's part of the industrial strike we're doing right now, because we're not sure who's doing the investigation.
There's been no agreement.
No.
No. Why isn't there been an agreement?
Well, that's between the governing body and the local authority to come up with a solution to who's going to be the investigator.
Okay, but the unions, I mean, you agree that there should be an investigation?
Yeah, but we want to make sure the process is fair and that the investigator is independent.
So have you actually suggested any?
No, we can't suggest. We haven't suggested because we're doing everything through our unions, you see. So we haven't suggested anybody.
So
because as teachers, I don't think it's our job to actually nominate
have the
names.
governors.
Once you start suggesting names, then that person doesn't become independent, then does it? That's why it's important that the local authority find someone who's independent. And
so can the governors suggest anybody?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the legalities in terms of.
Have they found anybody?
I don't know. Because I'm not aware of any of those local authorities and governing body meetings.
But the whole issue was all about sorting out the grievances.
Yeah.
So you don't know who's actually supposed to do it or who's been found to do it.
No, that's why we're striking, because we're not sure who the independent investigator is, you see, and we don't know whether who's been agreed and which investigator will be coming to school.
So I've heard that there's been suggestions, but the unions have said no, or the governors have said no, that we don't want this person, we don't want this organisation. So is that true?
As far as I think it is, I think they've had discussions between governing body and local authorities as to who they think should be appointed as the investigator. Obviously, I'm not privy to those details, I'm not sure.
Right. That seems strange.
Yeah.
So who actually decides who's going to investigate?
It's the local authority and the governing body together. They
right.
decide, yeah.
So if everybody's decided there's going to be an investigation, why is there a strike?
Because it's terms of reference within the investigation that the union members aren't happy with.
So it's up to the union as well as who's chosen?
Well, obviously it depends on the local authority and the governing body, and we want to make sure that the process is fair and that the investigator isn't actually independent.
Right. So there have been suggestions, but the teachers have.
It's going for the unions right now. So once the unions have. Because obviously we can't represent ourselves, so the union representatives are talking behind the scenes with the local authority and the governing body,
so
and the solicitors are.
So the unions aren't happy with the investigators which have been chosen so far. So I assume there must be somebody chosen, because it's been quite a while now.
I think it's ongoing, yeah. So that's why we're striking, because even after the initial strike action, nothing's been resolved. So
do you know why? You must know why it hasn't been resolved. Because the unions and the governors are.
Because there's been no agreement made on the
and you don't know why there hasn't been an agreement.
On the investigation.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a teacher, you see, so I'm not privy to some of the local authority and the governing body meetings.
Yeah, but you must, being a teacher, you must know why. Yeah. You must know what the governors are doing. What mistakes they're making.
We haven't had any support from the governors, because they haven't come into school to explain the situation at all.
But the unions have explained, surely?
No, that's why we're striking, because there hasn't been a resolution to the matter, so that's why. Yeah. That's why we're taking a further strike.
Yeah. What I don't understand is that the unions and the governors that are talking. Yeah. They're actually discussing who should do the investigation.
No, the local authority and the governing body have been discussing who should be investigating the grievance.
So what role do the unions making in this? Do they have any say in the investigation?
I'm not sure that's the union representative walking over there. All right, okay.
Okay. Okay, thanks for that. Anybody I should you suggest I should talk to?
There's Ian Lever there. He's the MUT rep, so he might give you some more details as to what's going on. Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right.
Morning.
Oui.
Is there anybody I could speak to regarding issues?
Well, I'm the NUT secretary, and these are all NUT members. So
Okay, any teachers I could speak to?
who are you, sorry?
My name's Anas from Injamat. It's a local Muslim news and event.
Okay, so we see if someone wants to
Yeah. Yeah.
You can give a... And I can give an official view on it.
Okay. Anything? I'd rather have a teacher because. Yeah.
Oh, right, well, there you go.
Okay then. Okay. So we're talking about. Yeah, Mr. Bedra, he was trying to find out why the strike is happening when there's supposed to be an investigation.
Yeah, the investigation is just about being agreed. We were only given the terms of reference for the investigation yesterday.
Right.
One of the concerns was that the independent investigator was a name that had been put forward by the governing body.
Okay.
And the concern of the staff, understandably, was that when a complaint is made against a group of people, it seems strange that it should be those people who are then deciding who will investigate.
Right.
Nonetheless, they were prepared to accept that, having did some research into who the investigator was, and they decided that they were prepared to accept that independent investigator. But there were a number of issues with the terms of reference that they still had a concern about.
Right.
They were things, some of them were more minor things which I think are easily resolvable at a time scale, which seemed to be quite short to get
Right.
done. One or two things. But the main concerns that they had, which to be blunt were kind of deal breakers in terms of them being prepared to accept the investigation, was that the staffing review, which is obviously it's the big grievance that's taking place, but there's also the issue of the staffing review and the TAs losing their jobs.
Yeah.
That is put on hold while the investigation takes place. So the investigation takes place, and while that's happening, there is an assurance that the staffing review won't be continuing.
Right.
And the second thing is that because of his experience with the investigation in the past, the issue of newsletter and petitioning parents on the gates and so on, that we're insisting that head teacher is suspended while the investigation takes place. And the suspension wouldn't be any kind of suggestion that admission of guilt or something like that. It's simply a neutral act. So he takes it. And it's not an unusual step while an investigation is taking place. It's simply suspended on full pay while the investigation takes place. So those are the two key things that the staff were saying, that they were prepared to accept the investigation despite their concerns that it was a name that was being put forward by the government.
Right.
But they needed assurance over a number of things, but those were the main two.
Right. So who actually decides who's going to do the investigation?
It's a joint investigation between the local authority and the governing body.
Right.
So it has to be agreed between both the local authority and the governing body, and that's why it's taken quite a long time for that to be. So
do the staff have any say in who does the investigation?
No, we've not had any say in it at all as to the investigation. Bearing in mind it's their grievance and their complaint, we would have thought it would have been appropriate. But we've been relying on the local authority, who are ultimately employers, and although the governors have the responsibility for employment matters, and dealing with something like this, the employers of the staff here are the local authority. They're employed by the local education authority. So we've left it in the hands of the local authority to sort out the investigation.
So the local authority and the governors, they can't agree?
Well, they have now come to an agreement over the terms of reference that are in place.
Right.
And the staff are I'm not quite sure happy is the right word, but they're prepared to accept most of, or some of those terms of reference, but they've got concerns over some of them as well. And as I say, particularly the issue of the head being suspended, something which the local authority themselves have asked for. They've called for that repeatedly, that the head is suspended while the investigation takes place.
They've called for it or suggested it?
They've called for it.
Right.
They've called for it. They've asked the governing body to suspend the head teacher while the investigation takes place.
Okay.
To allow the investigation to take place without interference from the head teacher.
So do you think there'll be more strikes?
I think if there's I spoke to, along with Gary Unison, spoke to represent the solicitor who represents the local authority, the solicitor from Hill Dickinson who's representing the governors,
right,
and the person who's going to be doing the independent investigation. I spoke to them all yesterday, and I said more or less what I've just said to you, which is that they can accept the investigation that's been proposed, but there were a number of concerns that they had, and the two main ones of those concerns were the issue of the head being suspended and the staffing structure put on hold. If those things are done, so the investigator, and then people will cooperate with the investigation, and if those are done, then there would be no need for any further strike action on Thursday while the investigation is taking place.
Right.
But at the moment it's scheduled to take place on Thursday, and unless we get a suitable response to those particular points, then it will carry on. It will still happen on Thursday.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be the children. The governor's saying they want what's best for the children. The teachers are saying the same thing. But if there's strikes, that doesn't help. If there's if the head is removed even temporarily, how can all of this help?
The head being removed temporarily will help, because it will allow people to get on with their job without worrying that he is interfering in the investigation process that is taking place.
What do you mean by interfering?
Well, I mean things like coming in on the. He'd had 2 days off ill. He then came in, and then there was the weekend. He came in on a Monday and spent the entire day producing. He called it a newsletter. It's not a newsletter. It was an exercise backing up his position and his situation, and handing that out to parents. Now that is interfering with the process that is taking place. It's not his role as a head teacher to be doing that. His role is to be running the school.
Well, I think it was quite a bit of slander against him. Maybe he felt so he had to pack his name. But how does that actually interfere with
slander?
You know, saying that he was against the community, he was racist, all of these things.
I don't think anybody at the school had suggested that he was racist. There'd been the incident of the Facebook thing, which had been picked up by the national press.
Right.
But actually, that had not formed part of any of the concerns that had been raised by the staff at the school. And as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure that nobody in the school made any kind of comment on that. I certainly haven't done either.
Yeah. It was generally in the air. But how would that newsletter affect the investigation?
Because the investigation needs to be taking place. Look, I've been very careful in the press, talking to you now and talking to the Leicester Mercury and Radio Leicester, not to go into any details about what the grievance is about or the details of the grievance, because that's not appropriate. The only person who should be looking at that is the investigator, who looks at all that, interviews people concerned, looks at all the evidence and makes a judgment. Now, as soon as the head starts giving details of what the grievance is about and talking about his own position and what allegations have been made in a public way like that, he's undermining the whole impartiality of the investigation.
Okay. Do you have the parents' support?
Parents are frustrated about the fact that their children's education is being disrupted by this. I'm a parent of children in the school in the city myself, and of course they would be. But that frustration is shared by the staff here. They don't want to be taking this action. They don't want to be standing out here in the rain. They want to be in there teaching their classes. And the only reason they're not is because the situation in the school is increasingly intolerable.
So do you think that the head teacher will be removed?
I don't know. I'm waiting to hear this morning. I don't think his situation long term at the school can continue anyway. Actually, because there's a complete loss of trust and confidence in him. But we're not kind of talking about that. We're talking about him simply being suspended from the school temporarily while the investigation takes place.
It doesn't seem like they're going to actually suspend him.
But I don't know.
Considering that the school is still open.
Well, yeah, that suggestion was made during the meeting that we had at 5:30 yesterday. And the representative for the governors, the solicitor from Hill Dickinson, who's representing the governors, was going away to put that proposal to the governors. So we're waiting to hear back on that.
Have you heard of a petition that the parents signed? Something like 500 parents.
I've heard that the head was outside with governors putting some pressure on parents to sign a petition, because a number of parents actually made a complaint to the school office that they had been asked several times and felt intimidated and under pressure by the head and by some governors outside the Met Front entrance to sign a petition.
How many were signed, do you know?
How many of the petition?
How many parents actually signed it?
I've no idea.
I heard it was something like 500. It seems like a lot of
I haven't seen the wording of. I haven't seen the petition. I haven't seen the details of what it says on it, so I can't comment. Have you got a copy of it?
No, I don't. It does suggest that there's quite a lot of support from.
It doesn't suggest anything without me seeing what the petition says, or if you've got a copy of it to show me, I can comment on it. But I haven't
if there is 500 or so parents saying that they don't want strike action.
Well, of course they don't. The parents, you can add the names of the teachers. They don't want the strike action either.
No,
nor do me. None of us do. But people are in an intolerable situation where there's no alternative to it.
Are you recording?
Yeah. Okay. So you don't think there'll be more strikes since the investigation has just started?
That will be dependent on the responses of the governing body to the questions that I raised yesterday afternoon.
Okay. So what is the next plan for the teachers now?
It will be for the feedback from the governors from yesterday afternoon's meeting. As soon as I know that, I'll share it with the teachers, and they can then make a decision about whether they want to continue with their action on Thursday and potentially beyond Thursday.
So if the head is not removed, are you still willing to cooperate?
Well, it's not a matter of whether I'm willing to cooperate. I'd have to discuss it with the teachers. But at the moment, they were insistent at the meeting that we had yesterday that they couldn't cooperate with an investigation while the head was still in the school. So
if the head is not removed, most likely there still would be further strike action.
Most likely that would be the case. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.